What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new podcast presented by Prospects Worldwide. I am your host, Drake Man. You can follow me on Twitter at DrakeMan4, and I'm joined by...
My name is Austin Farmer, and you can find me on Twitter at AustinF0421. Super basic Twitter handle, just combining my name and my birthday because I'm that guy.
Okay, that was completely cringe, Austin, but I love it. Now, Austin, how are you doing today, man?
Pretty good. I got my dog right here with me. She's chilling. She wants to learn some baseball. I'm excited to talk some prospects. I'm excited to get this started, and let's go, man. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you may want to know the title of this podcast, man. And I decided I couldn't really figure it out, but I found it. This is not called Prospects Overload. It's time to overload some brains with stats, analytics, prospect lists, and maybe some card collecting, man. I know that you're into that, and there will be plenty, and I mean plenty, of hot takes
and rants.
So, how do you think about that, Austin?
Sounds like a good time, man. It sounds like a good time. I feel like we're getting the prospectors involved, like guys that want to know more about the prospects, card collectors involved. They want to know who to spend money on, what to get. This is an educational thing. It's fun yet educational, unlike college, which we're both still in right now. So classes for me start on Thursday, so this is gonna help me get motivated for that.
Okay, that was an unnecessary blow to college. Okay, cool. Great way to start a podcast. But the hot takes are just going to start right out of the gate. I mean, right now, Austin, we know that the CBA agreement, that's just not happening right now. Like, both sides are so far at the other ends of the spectrum. I'm going to make this quick and simple, Austin. Will there be baseball in 2022? Yes or no?
All right, Drake. So my simple answer is yes. As you know, I had to do a report over the CBA bargaining agreement for my final this past fall, and it was a bunch of research. And all I can tell you is, the relationship between the players and owners have always been really bad. This is nothing new. What's going on right now is nothing new. 1981, there was a strike, there was a World Series, but they missed like 2 months of the season. And then 1994 was cut short with no World Series, and that almost destroyed the fan base, etc. So it's not quite as bad as it was back then. And I do think that it might be like a last minute agreement, like right before spring training for 2022, but I think there will be baseball in 2022. I think they're just taking their time trying to get as much out of what they can possibly get on both sides. It's frustrating for sure, but I think that with the way that everything has played out in the past, I do think that we will have baseball in 2022. And this is not the first time that there's been a lockout either, besides the strikes. So it's just a matter of time.
See, I just find it, I just feel like the last two meetings where one was something like 30 minutes and the other one was like 8 minutes, I feel like they are so far on the opposite end of each other that if there will be baseball in 2022, that something like a miracle has to happen, in my opinion. And I may be completely wrong with this, but I just feel like that there's so much negative energy between the two that, like, I don't think that they're going to come to an agreement for 2022.
And I understand where you're coming from, but like I said, like, this is nothing new with how far apart they are, etc. It could be a shortened season again. Like I said, they might wait last minute. I do believe that it'll start on time, but I could be wrong. And anyone that feels that if either one of us are wrong, please share your comments on what you think, and we'll see what the fan base also has to say.
Yeah, that's very good. Shout out to the fans. All the world maniacs out there,
and all 493 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Please help us get to 1,000. We're so close to our goal.
Now, Austin, I just pointed at nobody. I don't know why. I just pointed at nobody, thinking that to try to get my point across. So I don't really know what happened there. But let's just get into the fun stuff now. We talked about the CBA, but this is one of my favorite topics that we're going to have in our first edition of Prospects Overloading going forward. Start, bench, cut. This is a thing where if you're a coach on a team, you get 3 players and you're going to start one, bench one, cut one. This one's a doozy. And it's between Jack Leiter, Hunter Green, and Emerson Hancock. Who are you starting? Who are you benching? Who are you cutting, Austin? Let's hear it.
All right, Drake. Well, you're kind of making this hard on me right now. You do know that I'm a Rangers fan, even though they were terrible last season. But I would say I would have to cut Jack Leiter, mostly because he doesn't have any pro experience yet. I would start Emerson Hancock, and I would bench Hunter Green.
See, now I agree on Leiter, just the no pro experience, but I mean, he could shut both of us up next year and just absolutely shove it.
Oh, 100%.
And then we would, and honestly, Jack Leiter, when you do, I will put out a tweet apologizing that I cut you. But I'm starting Hunter Green and I'm benching Emerson Hancock. Hunter Green, I am sorry, but he is going to be that ace for the Reds. Even though this is going to sound weird because I'm a huge fan of Lodolo, that fastball slider combo that he has, he is absolutely incredible with that if he could stay healthy. If he stays healthy, he is going to be the best one out of these 3. And I fully believe that. And Emerson Hancock, he started great last year in his pro debut, but we'll see. We'll see. That's a topic for another time.
Yeah, and I agree with your take on Hunter Green, and I do think that the big reason why I would bench Hunter Green is he had that injury and he did come back from it, and I realized Hancock was hurt for part of the season. I don't know. I think that I see more long-term value in Emerson Hancock, and that's why I would start him.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, if Hunter Green can stay in the rotation, that value doubles Emerson Hancock's.
We'll see. It's just a matter of time. And
again, what I said there, this is going to be plenty of hot takes. I mean, yeah, we've already had a few hot takes about one of them just cutting Jack Leiter. So,
yep, and it kills me saying that because
Yes, but I made this first one hard on purpose. So,
yeah, jerk.
All right, so Austin, okay, meanie. All right, so moving on from one topic to another one. This is one of my favorites. Again, it's a surprising stat of the day. And I'm always on Fangraphs. I love that site. But weighted runs created plus. Austin, are you aware of WRC plus?
Yeah, not as much as you are, but when we are tweeting about the guys that we've posted footage of, I try to mix that in there as well for some of the stats that we post.
Well, if I were to ask you for AA, who had the highest weighted runs created plus, who do you think it would be?
Ooh, Adley Rutschman.
You may think it's Adley Rutschman, but he had a 145. MJ Mendez had a 157. Riley Green had a 145. But no, who do you think it is? Or who, if you could guess?
Good question.
Too bad it's already 10 seconds went up. It is Jonathan Aranda from the Tampa Bay Rays, 23-year-old, had a 162 weighted runs created plus. Austin, buddy, what do you know about Jonathan Aranda?
Well, I do know that he has a bit of pop. He did pump out 14 bombs between high A and double A. He gets on base a good amount. I think he's a solid bat. Obviously, you know more than I do about him since you brought up that stat. So I'm gonna pass the torch on to you now before I just ramble because I like to do that.
Oh no, you're always rambling, which is stupid. But
okay.
Sorry, dude, got to roast you every episode. That's gonna be the new norm. But with Aranda, I think he's so much of a late bloomer because he was signed in 2015, and he's 23 now. So he's much more like he's someone like a Nick Plummer or a Delvin Paris who has come out of nowhere pretty much. And might even make the roster in 2022 if there's a season.
Yeah.
And we've seen this a lot from the Rays, though, where they will take players and with their new analytical based thinking and like their development, and you will see them just start exploding out of nowhere.
Yep. And something interesting too about Aranda, like you said, he signed in 2015. He debuted in 2016 at 18 years old. There was no baseball season in 2020, but before 2021, he did not hit 300 ever. And he ended up hitting 330 this past season with a 418 on base percentage. So for you to say that he burst on the scene is an undertake. He I don't know where I'm going with this. You're better at your turn.
All right, Austin, thank you for that awkward exchange. But and then you brought up the 14 home runs. He's never hit more than 3. So that's pretty amazing. And there's a lot of pop in that bat, like you were saying earlier. So I'm actually a big fan of Aranda. And you know what? I might change it in my Twitter bio to say Jonathan Aranda Stan.
Well, no one will ever take Tyler O'Neill's place for you. We all know that. Anyone?
Yes, I know. Tyler O'Neill he's my boy. I know he will always be my boy. That man's amazing, and he always will be. All right, Austin. So now I'm gonna turn up the hot takes about 300 degrees, because here's our underrated, overrated prospects. This is gonna get a little juicy, and I know it. So, who is your most underrated prospect in the minors right now?
All right, Jake. Well, I've been giving this a bit of thought recently, and it came down to about 3 options for me for this segment. And my answer might be kind of shocking, but I'm going to go with Will Banfield of the Miami Marlins. I know he's not going to be a major impact at the plate by any means. He's not going to hit for average. He has I wouldn't say decent pop, but he might be able to hit a few homers here and there. The thing that I really like about Banfield is his bat did look like it was coming along in the Arizona Fall League when we were there. He's a solid defensive catcher behind the plate, and he's got a cannon of an arm. Let me pull up a stat here for you. In 2019, at 19 years old, he threw out 46% of base runners that attempted on him. That was 43 of 94. That is just nuts. If you can get about the 30% mark, that's a really good season behind the plate. And in 2021, he did throw out 30%. And meaning this dude he's got a rocket behind the plate.
All right. Well, you pick a catcher, which that's very interesting, but I'm going to go with a shortstop in a very loaded system that's full of top-notch shortstop prospects. And I'm going to go with Brian Roquillo. And for the people that have followed me on Twitter for quite a bit, I am actually one of the biggest fans of Brian Roquillo. I think for his age, I think that he is one of the best shortstop prospects in baseball. And there's a hot take for you. But this last year, he really came into his own, hitting 15 home runs and had a 346 on base percentage. There's sneaky pop for his size. He's only 5'10". He broke onto the scene in 2021, hitting 15 home runs and had a 346 on base percentage. And he's only 20 years old. And he did this between high A and double A. So I was very, very impressed with that. And it's also at 5'10", 170. He has a lot of projection in him. And I think that he is definitely something to watch in the Guardian system, and someone that I think will make a real name for himself in 2022. Now, Austin, here's the part where we get a lot of people angry at us. Okay? Here is the overrated category. And mine, I don't know, it might tick you off a little bit because you are a Rangers fan, but catching prospect Sam Huff, to me, is extremely overrated. I get that the power is there, and I get that he has a cannon of an arm, but I don't think he sticks to catcher. I think he's a DH. I think that there's a lot of swing and miss with him, and I just don't know if that'll translate well to an everyday role with the Rangers. I feel like Ian Muller is the the start of the future with the Rangers.
Yeah, I can agree with you for the most part. I know that when I did the scouting report for our website on Sam Huff, I know I had him at a 45. I think it has dropped a little bit to a 40 for his hit tool. I do think that the reason why that fans are so excited about him is he did hit those two balls well over 500 feet. So that's kind of getting everyone hyped about him. But yeah, I kind of see him more as a first base DH. He does have a pretty solid arm behind the plate, so that might get him some time behind the dish. But yeah, definitely Ian Moeller is going to be the future behind the dish for the Rangers, and Huff will be more of a first base DH or DH first base type situation.
That is exactly how I think. But I've been waiting for this overrated part. And Austin, who is your overrated prospect?
Well, we've discussed some guys that I think is overrated, and this one also might be a bit of a shock. I'm going to go with Pedro Leon of the Houston system. So both our guys this episode are from Texas teams. And Leon has quite a bit of hype. And when he was at Arizona Fall League, he didn't impress me. He seemed like he had potential, but he didn't like wow. And I feel like he's gaining a lot of hype, and I don't see it. And he did hit 220 between Rookie League AA and AAA. So he did finish in AAA in 2021. So we might see him with the Astros in 2022. He'll be 24. He's got stolen base capabilities. He's got a pretty strong arm, but just overall, I see him as an average player.
Man, that is very, very interesting, because we have talked about Leon before, and you have been quoted as saying he's too boring. So maybe that plays into it. I don't really know. I've seen Leon. I think we saw him one game, and or at least I saw him one game. And I wasn't too much of a fan either. But I wouldn't go as far as say he's overrated just yet, because I just haven't seen enough hype for him. I just can't wait, because I know that one prospect's going to come up when we do this again, and that's going to be a fun one. So that there's a little foreshadowing for future.
And, part of it too is like I see on Twitter everyone is posting Pedro Leon cards trying to get too much money for him, and it's just like, why?
Dude, that's every prospect nowadays, though, dude.
That is true. That is very true.
Exactly. Okay, well, I think that we got all the hot takes out of the way for now. I think right now, just to be more personable with each other and be more personable with the fans, let's just do something fun here and do our top 5 favorite prospects in baseball. Now, Austin, I will let you go first. It's probably going to be a whole bunch of Colton Cowser on there, because I know, there's something on there, but just the floor is yours.
All right. Well, you got Colton Cowser right. He's an alumni of my school. So he's number 1. He's my favorite prospect. Number 2 would be, I want to say Julio Rodriguez. It's kind of a tie between him and Bobby Witt, but I lean more towards Julio's hit tool. I like it better than Witt's, which, is somewhat of a hot take. We weren't completely through with them. Number 3, I will have Bobby Witt. Number 4, I'm going to go with Hayden Wesneski, another biased pick for Sam Houston State. And then number 5, I would have to go with CJ Abrams. That dude is just outstanding. I got to see him in San Antonio before he got hurt. And I will say MJ Melendez did gun him down, but like that dude is just a hit machine. He's got speed. He's got it all. And I liked him at short too when I saw him there.
I would ask your comp for Abrams, but I know it's out of this world. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's between you and me.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. But so, Austin, you picked 3 premier prospects, like at least top 5, top 10. I don't have one top 10 prospect on my list. And that might be a hot take on its own. I don't really know, but I'm more into the guys that are like, they're on the lower spectrum, but they come out of nowhere and then they just peak. They like gain fans at like attention, and so every guy on this list I feel like fans need to know more about or need to be more hyped on, and just give these guys the hype that they deserve. So Austin, you already know my number one, Rubio Angeles from the Padres.
Hit
I
machine.
watched that. What?
Hit machine.
Yes, hit machine. That's perfect. That's a very, very, very good way to describe Angeles. But there's really not a lot of power, but he just hits everything. Much like my second guy in my latest list from the ACL, Milkar Perez. I had him, I think, 4 on my list. Yeah, 4. And there was really, I watched him probably 5-6 games, and he was hitting stuff to all fields. He was hitting stuff with his eyes. He was literally, and they were all base hits. I was just like, holy cow, where did this kid come from? But yeah, number 3 on my list is Elvis Martinez, 19 years old, had a great 2021. I think he's very underrated.
You've been talking about him a lot recently.
Yes, I have, because it's true. He's one of my favorites, and he's very underrated. Number 4, Cardinals fans. Gorman is not on my list, but Alec Burleson is. What he did in 2021 was just amazing. And he might even peak here in 2022 and really show some fans what he can do in St. Louis. And number 5, I actually have 2. So I don't know if this is cheating, but it's Hendry Mendez and Jefferson Cuero, both from the Brewers. I got to see these 2 also in the ACL, and both are, sorry, let me backtrack really quick. I didn't get to see Jefferson Cuero, but I did see some video of him, and he is going to be a premier catching prospect probably by 2022, 2023. I think more people need to get hyped on him, and the same with Hendry Mendez. He is going to be an absolute stud with the bat, and what he did in the ACL was something that a lot of people need to also give some attention to.
Well, that was very interesting, and I'm shocked that I know you're really high on Hedbert Perez too. So I was kind of shocked at first that you chose Cuero over Perez.
I think Hendry Mendez is going to be better than Perez.
Interesting.
Yes, that is very interesting. But I saw him a couple times with the Brewers, like I said, in the ACL, and I got one of our better videos on him. He doubles into the gap, and he really showed some nice tools there. So yeah, I think Mendez will be better in the long run, but we'll see. I could be wrong there too.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about scouting too, is one of these guys could burst on the scene unexpectedly and could prove everyone wrong. One guy could be completely overhyped, overrated. You don't know until it's a finished product, and any of us could be right or wrong. So
exactly. And then I will take credit for calling half these guys.
Yeah, I'll give you due credit for Milkar Perez, because that kid is a stud. And every time I try and get an autograph of his first Bowman Chrome, someone takes it before me, and I'm pissed off all the time from it, because that kid is going to be an absolute stud.
I'm pissed off about it. Okay, well, thank you for explaining your anger issues, Austin.
Wait, you mean this isn't therapy session? Oh, never mind then.
Okay, we don't need to talk about a song by NF. Okay, all right. Okay, well, I think, Austin, that's all the time that we have today. Yes, it was short, but I think that's what I really want to keep these down to. Just a nice short podcast that people can listen to and interact with and just have fun with. How did you enjoy that?
It was a lot of fun, and I think that the more that we get into it, the more we'll get into a groove about it, and we can go a little bit more in depth. I think that this was a good test run. I mean, it wasn't really a test run, it was the first episode, but I think that we have a good foundation going here, and it should be more fun as we continue it.
Yeah, especially when we start getting some of the other more scouts in here too. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, for sure. We got a good staff going on at Prospects Worldwide, and I really want to hear my boy Caden Schmidt talk about his views as well, because that dude goes to a heck of a lot of games, so he sees everybody.
And honestly, if you're interested in joining Prospects Worldwide, we are looking for writers at the moment, video scouts, stuff like that. So you can shoot our Twitter a message at Prospects World W, or you can email us at prospectsworldwide2020 at gmail.com. with your interests and maybe even a scouting report that you've done or just some writing that you've done, and we can just look it over and maybe you'll be able to be hired. As always, I'm your host, Drake Man. You can follow me on Twitter at DrakeMan4.
And I'm Austin Farmer. You can follow me on Twitter at AustinF0421. And this was a blast, man. I really am looking forward to our next podcast episode.
Yeah, and we'll have more with our new lists that are coming out called Risers and Shiners. We're gonna get those out as quickly as we can, as soon as possible. But I cannot wait for another episode of Prospects Overload. This has been Drake Man and Austin Farmer. Peace.
Peace, everybody.